You've seen it everywhere, right? Maslow's famous pyramid of needs. It kind of feels like common sense, a simple ladder to becoming your best self. But what if I told you that this pyramid isn't just a diagram? It's really the flag of a psychological revolution, one that totally flipped the script on how we think about being human. So let's dig into the real story behind that pyramid.
All right, so here's the super quick refresher. This pyramid, officially called the hierarchy of needs, was Abraham Maslow's big idea back in 1943. It all starts at the bottom, with the basics, food, water, a roof over your head. Once you've got that covered, you climb up to the next level, safety, feeling secure, stable. Then comes that universal need for love and belonging, followed by esteem, getting respect from others, and just as important, from yourself. And then, at the very, very top, the peak of the mountain, is self-actualization. That's the drive to become everything you are capable of being. And here's the key idea, straight from Maslow himself. He basically said that once we're not constantly worried about surviving, our whole motivation changes. It's like we stop being driven by what we don't have, and we start being driven by what we could become. This whole idea that we are all naturally wired for growth was just wildly optimistic for its time.
But that begs a pretty big question, doesn't it? A view of humanity this positive doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was a radical statement. So what was it pushing back against? What was the big, dominant idea in psychology that it had to take down?
Well, meet the reigning champ of psychology at the time, behaviorism. Guys like B.F. Skinner were leading the charge, and they basically argued that we're all just products of our environment. Our actions are simply learned responses conditioned by a lifetime of rewards and punishments. And all that stuff going on inside our heads, our feelings, our hopes, our dreams. To a strict behaviorist, that was just messy, unscientific noise.
And wow, this slide really lays out the difference. It's night and day. On one side, you have behaviorism, which saw you as a complex machine, a predictable product of your conditioning, with pretty limited free will. And on the other side, this new idea, humanism, stands up and says, no, you are a whole person. You have a built-in drive to grow, and you absolutely have free will. I mean, what a seismic shift in thinking.
This timeline here shows you exactly how that revolution took shape. See, at the time, psychology was really dominated by two major forces. You had the first force, behaviorism, looking only at what you could see and measure. Then you had the second force, psychoanalysis, which was diving deep into our dark, unconscious drives. Humanistic psychology burst onto the scene as the third force, rejecting both. It said behaviorism was way too robotic and psychoanalysis was just too pessimistic.
So, what were the core beliefs of this new revolution? Well, the humanists basically put up a new flag. They championed the idea that our personal, subjective experience is what really matters. They insisted that we have free will, that people are fundamentally good, and that we are all striving to grow. For them, the whole point of psychology wasn't just to fix what's broken, but to help people reach their full potential and live richer, more meaningful lives.
But this revolution wasn't a one-man show, not at all. While Maslow gave us the pyramid, another giant of the movement, Carl Rogers, gave us an idea that was just as powerful, the concept of the self. Rogers wanted to get right to the very heart of who we are.
So Rogers pointed out this fundamental tension that lives inside all of us. On one hand, you've got your real self. That's your self-image, who you believe you are right now, warts and all. On the other hand, you've got your ideal self. That's the person you dream of being, the one who's achieved all your goals. And the gap between those two, that can be a huge source of anxiety.
So, what's the solution? According to Rogers, the goal is something he called congruence. This is that sweet spot where your real self and your ideal self are closely aligned. The more they overlap, the higher your self-worth, and the closer you get to becoming what he called a fully functioning person, someone who is open to new experiences and really trusts their own gut feelings.
Okay, so how do you close that gap and find that congruence? Rogers came up with this incredibly powerful tool, unconditional positive regard. It's a fancy term for something simple, offering complete acceptance and support for a person no matter what they say or do. By creating this totally safe, non-judgmental space, we give ourselves and others the freedom to grow and bring those real and ideal selves closer together. This idea became the absolute bedrock of his revolutionary person-centered therapy. And that brings us right back to where we started, with the pyramid. See, it's not just some simple checklist of needs. It's an icon.
It represents this entire humanistic movement, this radical declaration that every single person has inherent worth, free will, and this incredible potential for growth just waiting to be unlocked.
So why does the psychology movement from the middle of the last century still matter so much today? Because its DNA is absolutely everywhere. Rogers' person-centered therapy, that's a cornerstone of modern counseling. The entire world of life coaching and personal development, that's a direct descendant of this focus on self-actualization. This movement is the reason psychology shifted from only treating illness to actively helping people thrive.
So the next time you see that pyramid, I want you to remember it's way more than a diagram. It's a declaration of human potential. Which really leaves us with one final crucial question. It's not about just knowing the theory, right? It's about living it. So what's one step, just one, that you can take today on your own path towards self-actualization?